Have you ever just stopped and asked yourself, am I doing this whole life thing right? It's a huge question, and for centuries, it's pushed people to some pretty wild extremes. In this explainer, we're going to look at those two extremes, and then explore a really powerful idea for finding a path right down the middle.
So, what is the right way to live? It's a question that we all bump up against, right? Should we just go for it, chase every single desire and pleasure that pops into our heads? Or is the real answer found in super strict discipline and self-control? Well, our source material lays out two very, very different answers to that exact question.
All right, first up, we've got the path of total indulgence. This philosophy basically says that life is all about one thing, seeking pleasure, and saying yes to every single one of your desires, no matter what.
This path actually has a name. It's called the Pravritti Marg. And the core idea is really simple. Just go with the natural flow of your mind in whatever it's craving. It suggests that trying to suppress your desires is unnatural and that real fulfillment comes from just letting them run their course. It's a path that really champions freedom and experience above everything else.
You know, the way followers of this path describe their experiences is just fascinating. The source gives this almost over-the-top example of someone glorifying smoking, saying things like, "Oh, the pleasure you get when the smoke fills your windpipe, it's just amazing." They describe it with such passion that you can almost see why someone would find it tempting.
So the bottom line here is that this path is really defined by the belief that life is the pursuit of pleasure, full stop. Followers are encouraged to try everything, drinks, wild experiences, you name it, all in the chase for that on-top-of-the-world feeling. And according to our source, this kind of mindset is most common with people under the age of 40. But then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we've got the second path. And this one isn't about following your mind. No, this is about conquering it. This is the Nivritti Marg, the path of restraint. And its core belief is that true strength comes from slamming the brakes on your impulses, rejecting all those worldly desires, and living a life of extreme discipline. It's a total 180 from the first path we just talked about.
And this quote, wow, it just perfectly sums up the mindset. Forget balance, this is all about pushing the absolute limits of self-control. The quote says, you have to sleep at midnight and wake up at 4 a.m. before the rooster crows. And get this, if the rooster crows before you're up, your whole day is considered a waste. It's an unbelievably rigid way to live.
So on this path, the mind isn't a guide you listen to. It's seen as an enemy that you have to wrestle into submission. And here's what's really fascinating. Our source suggests that a lot of the people who follow this path are folks who once lived that other life of total indulgence. It's like they burned out so hard that they swung to the complete opposite extreme, embracing this radical simplicity and control.
Okay, so we have these two polar opposites. Complete unchecked indulgence versus complete iron-fisted restraint. But here's the twist. The source material argues that both of these extremes are actually deeply flawed, that true wisdom lies in rejecting them both.
And this chart just lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? The path of indulgence says, follow your desires. The path of restraint says, control your mind. One sees the mind as your trusted guide. The other sees it as the enemy. It's a showdown between absolute pleasure and absolute self-denial. But is life really about picking one of these extreme teams?
And here's the core argument against just blindly following your every impulse. This quote warns, don't trust the mind will get you killed. Trust your wisdom. This is basically saying that our raw desires, if they're not guided by some intelligence and foresight, can be incredibly destructive.
And the warning could not be more direct. When talking about the people who preach these two extreme paths, the source flat out says, one should stay away from such fools. The message is crystal clear. Don't get trapped by the black and white, all or nothing thinking of either side.
So if both extremes are considered foolish, then what's the answer? Well, this brings us to a third path, not a compromise, but something more like a synthesis. It's the middle way. It's such a simple idea, but it's really profound. The best way to live isn't found at either pole, not in total indulgence or total denial. It's found in that balanced, sensible, and wise space right in between them.
This is the Sahaj Marg, which you can translate as the natural path. And it's not about letting your mind run wild, and it's not about crushing it into submission either. It's about using your buddhi, your wisdom, your intellect, to navigate life in a way that just feels natural, balanced, and, sustainable.
So how do you actually walk this path? Well, first, you have to consciously reject that all-or-nothing mindset of the other two ways. Second, you learn to lead with your wisdom, not just your emotions or your fleeting desires. And finally, you find a rhythm that feels natural and balanced for you, not what some extremist on either side is yelling at you is the right way.
And all of this leaves us with one final, really crucial question. It's not about choosing between team indulgence and team restraint. The real question is this: when you quiet all that noise from the extremes and just listen to your own deep inner intelligence, which path does your wisdom show you?